It can be really hard to find a good deal in today's market. But once you do, you want to make sure to maximize that deal. Having one exit strategy makes that a little bit tougher. So in this video, I want to walk through 3 exit strategies all with the same house. We're going to assume you found a really good deal on a discounted distressed property. Then I want to walk you through 3 different exit strategies and show you how to implement those strategies so then you can pick the best strategy for you. If you find a deal on a house and you're only going to do one thing with it, that's fine. Hopefully you'll make money, but you're probably not maximizing the potential of that property. Go to the board behind me and let's walk through some different exit strategies on the same property so that you have more arrows in your quiver and you can make more money. Found a distressed, get it, sad house, a distressed property that you can get under contract to purchase for $150,000. The 3 exit strategies I want to talk about all do not require any of your own money, which is pretty cool. The first one I'm going to talk about is how to wholesale this property and how much money you can make. The second thing I want to talk about is how to fix and flip. Buy this property, fix it up, sell it without using any of your own money. And then the third and my favorite, hence why I'm saving it for last, best for last, is how to keep this as a rental property, all without using any of your own money. You found this deal, now let's maximize your profit. Before we get rolling, please hit that like button. I would appreciate it. It helps the algorithm out and it's pretty easy for you to do. This is a very simple diagram that explains real estate investing in a nutshell. You take a distressed property, you do something to it, fix it up, repair it, you make it nice, and then you either rent it or sell it for money. That's the entire process. Now, part of that process is wholesaling and living inside the transaction. I'll explain that here in a minute. But in a nutshell, apparently I'm using nutshells as examples in this video. In a nutshell, wholesaling is buying and selling paper. You don't need any money. You don't need any credit and you don't have to take any risk. All you need is a sheet of paper with a contract and that's it. Now, of course, it helps to have money and credit and be willing to take a little bit of risk, but it is not necessary. That's why wholesaling is such a good thing for brand new investors or for people that just don't have money. So you found this house that you can get under contract for $150,000, as I talked about earlier. Now, that's day 1 of the contract. In 45 days, the contract states that you close on the property and the person you're buying the property from, the seller, is going to get paid $150,000. In that contract, in that sheet of paper, you have a contingency, just like almost all real estate deals, whether it be residential or investing, some type of financial contingency, some type of investor approval, some type of contractor visit, some type of contingency that allows you to get out of the contract. Usually it's going to be about 14 days. So you have 14 days to sell that property. Now make sure the seller knows that that contingency is in there. Don't hide that from them. Be upfront and honest. Tell them you have 2 weeks to confirm the deal. You want to rerun your numbers. You want to get a few people in the property to make sure you ran your numbers properly. Most of the time, especially if you gave them the number they're looking for, they will be completely fine with you doing that. So in those first 14 days, you sell the contract to a real estate investor that has money, that has credit, and is willing to take a risk. So for this example, let's say on day 10, you sold the property for $175,000. You assigned it, which we don't need to get into too technical details now, but you assigned the contract over to the real estate investor. On day 45, they are legally bound to close on the contract. So on day 45, they will pay the seller $150,000 just like you promised them once you got the initial contract and just like you confirmed with them on day 10 or day 14, whichever one, once you got it actually sold. And just for doing that, just for connecting the dots, you make $25,000, which is a pretty standard wholesale fee. I would say the national average is around $20,000. Now, these deals don't just fall off of trees. You do have to put in work and effort. You have to find the distressed seller. You have to negotiate. You have to find a buyer. So you're doing quite a bit of work for that $25,000. But I would say you can work 15 to 20 hours a month and do 2 or 3 of these a year pretty easily. So you can make this happen and you can make some pretty good extra money on the side by wholesaling real estate with no money, no credit, and no risk. All right, let's move on to fixing and flipping with none of your own money. All right, you got that same house under contract to purchase from that distressed seller for $150,000. Rather than sell it, you decide to take it down yourself, fix it up, and then sell it. So for this deal, you can buy it for $150,000, and let's say it needs $50,000 in repairs, so you need $200,000 total to buy and fix up this property. You don't have to use your own money. You can use a hard money lender or a private money lender. Either one are pretty simple to find. This video up here, I show you where to find hard money lenders and where to find private money lenders. I have several videos on this channel about it as well, and I do tons of content on all my socials, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, all about how to find these other people money sources, these private or hard money lenders. For this example, a private lender paid you $200,000 to buy and fix up the house. Now that the house is fixed up, you're gonna put it on the market and sell it, hopefully for quite a bit more than you have in it. Let's say you sold this house for $275,000. That's great. That's obviously not all profit to you. You're gonna have to pay some fees. You're gonna have to pay the people you borrowed the money back from, but you can still make a pretty good lick. So you sold it for $275,000, so you have to pay to sell the property and get it listed. If you're not an agent, you're gonna have to pay a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. It's usually about 6%. So for this deal, that's gonna come out of your profit. That's minus about $16,000. Now you also owe the private lender their $200,000, so minus $200,000. Now there's probably a little bit of closing fees and title fees, but that shouldn't add up to too much. Now, the private lender didn't just give you the money, they want a return on their investment. So for this deal, let's say it took you about 6 months to rehab it, to buy and close on the sale. So you're gonna pay the private lender maybe $10,000 or $15,000, let's be conservative and say you paid them 15 grand. So if Dakota's math is right, you are making 44K on this deal. It's not as much as you would have made if you used your own money or sold the property on your own, but you didn't use any of your own money, so you can do this multiple times. Either maybe you don't have the money or don't want to spend the money. Either is a great reason to not use your own money. But $44,000, without using a dime of your own money, you put in the effort and the energy and took a little bit of the risk, of course, but that's a pretty good investment. So if you're willing to do that and have some money resources, you can make 44 grand, or you could wholesale it and make 25 grand. All right, now let's talk about how to keep this distressed property as a rental property without using any of your own money with the BRRRR method. Same house, same purchase price, same everything. You can buy the house for $200,000 and it needs $50,000 in repair. So you can go to probably the same hard money lender or private money lender you went to on the fix and flip option and borrow $200,000 to buy and fix up the property. Now you're not selling it, you're going to refinance it in the refinance step, but before you do that, you need to fix up the property and get it rented. It's fixed up, now let's get it rented. Now that you have a fixed up happy house producing cash, you take it to a small local bank and they will write you a check for 80% of the appraised value, which should be the market value. As you saw earlier, the market value for this property is $275 grand. And that equals $220,000. So a bank, a small local bank, will write you a check for $220,000 or 80% of the appraised value, up to 80%. Some will do 75%, but most will do 80%, or at least they will after you do a few deals. So you take that $220,000 and you pay back your initial private lender their money plus interest. As we talked about on the last deal, they made $15,000. So you write them a check for $215,000 from their check that they wrote you for $200,000. And if you're paying attention, you can make $5 grand of tax-free money. It's tax-free because it's debt, it's added to the mortgage, so you are paying it back over the mortgage, but it's nice to have $5 grand of tax-free money, or you can just take out a $215,000 loan rather than a $220,000 loan and have more equity in your property. Now, that cashier's check did turn into a mortgage, but that mortgage is probably over 25, maybe 30 years at 4 to 5%, so it's a very small monthly payment. So that debt has become a very, very small monthly payment. The rent will cover that, plus all owning expenses, assuming you ran your numbers properly. After that, you can learn to scale, which I'm not gonna go into too much detail in this video. I have several videos on it. Check out this video up here where I talk about the BRRRR method and how to scale in a little bit more detail. Finding distressed properties can be tough. So knowing how to maximize the potential profit or fit whatever need you want is super, super important if you want to maximize each deal. And if you want to maximize ROI, this is a great way to do that. Everybody looks at investment properties, whether it be the stock market or crypto or businesses, or real estate as ROI, return on investment. If you do it the way that I just explained by using other people's money and none of your own, here's what your ROI is. That's a janky ass infinity sign, but your ROI is infinity because you use none of your own money, whether you make $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, however much money you make has an infinite ROI because you didn't use any of your own money. Now, I'm not like some financial genius, but infinite ROI is a good investment every single time. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and check out this video over here where I explain exactly what the BRRRR method is in a real life house, HGTV style. See you on the next one.